You're listening to WKDW Radio 97.5 and KDWRadio.com, broadcasting from the Bishop West Real Estate Mobile Tower right here in Northport, Florida. I've got a very special guest in the house today. Jennifer, would you go ahead and introduce yourself and give your title and let people know what you do?
Hi, thank you so much for having us today. I'm Jennifer Bushinger Ortiz, Chief Philanthropy Officer here at Loveland Center. And Loveland Center, we are a nonprofit established all the way back in 1962, and we are supporting children and adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities right here in our community.
Fantastic organization. I've been up there. It's wonderful. I hear you guys have some new things happening. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
There's so many new things. Just picking one is going to be challenging, but just kind of starting macro and then going a little micro. The last 3 years, our organization has seen tremendous growth, and we've actually tripled in size and tripled our service radius. While we were founded in 1962 and operating in Venice, Florida, 3 years ago with the arrival of our CEO, Patrick Guerin, we opened our first satellite location in Northport, Florida, and then expanded into Charlotte County with a location right in Port Charlotte. And then this past June, amidst all the chaos with the COVID pandemic, we opened our fourth location and expanded into Manatee County and are also operating in that Bradenton location as well. So we've actually proudly been able to grow to serve more than 500 kids and adults in now 4 locations in 3 counties, with more locations and more counties to come. It's very exciting around here.
And to me, it's great news because it was a needed service, just not in our area, but as you are talking, multiple areas and really, I think throughout the state. How many centers are like yours that are growing like yours in the state? Do you know?
Well, that's kind of a hard question to put your finger on the pulse because every organization has their own strategic plan, and a lot of organizations might not have a plan for strategic growth, but rather for sustaining programs that they already have or maybe offering different services. But ours is very different than a lot of other providers, and it's rooted in the philosophy that we're a service provider. So if there is a need, we're going to find a way to bring the service to those individuals in need. You know, even the rationale behind opening that Northport location stemmed from the fact we had individuals that would be on transportation, whether it be a SCAT bus or Loveland's transportation or even their family vehicles. And they were coming from Northport and Englewood and all the way up in northern Sarasota. They might be on transportation for more than an hour each way. So you're talking upwards of 2 hours to transport for just a 6-hour program. So now look at the convenience of taking the program right into their backyard. Now they're able to have less time sitting on a transportation vehicle to get to their services, more time available for anything else that they or the families may need. So it just seems like the logical solution. And us as an organization, we are fiscally responsible as well as overly transparent, where we're good stewards of every dollar, where we were able to just answer that call and then put into place the practice of executing those services.
Well, and you know, the events that you guys have, where we're all up there and get to enjoy some lunch, and it really strikes my heart because my background is 25 years medical. I'm a realtor now, but I've got 25 years medical, and in the past worked with the oldest Down syndrome patient in Ohio, he was 78, and which is a long time for Down syndrome. And so, he wasn't the only patient we had then. We had a wide range, but it does my heart a lot of good when I come up and see your facility, get to participate. Thank goodness we're getting out of this COVID thing and we can start doing some real luncheons again, and enjoying ourselves. But to see the excitement of your crew up there, who I think love the public engaging part of that whole thing. And I think it's absolutely fantastic. Can you describe some of the things that you guys do to engage the community?
So that also is something that I do. I'm very proud of our organization, but I also think it sets us apart from a number of other entities because we truly focus on not only the community integration side to ensure that our participants are seen as a part of their community and not apart from it, but we also have very rigorous advocacy and community engagement efforts. You know, you'll see all of my team members in our philanthropy department, as well as a number of other senior leadership employees at our organization who are all taking an avid stance in championing for equality. But the only way we can do it, it's a grassroots movement. It's going to take one person at a time. So we go to an event, we meet someone, we talk about our individuals, we're educating them not only on what they're capable of and what our organization can do, but we're really shedding the stigma that surrounds individuals with disabilities. And at the end of the day, this past year, we've really been championing a cause that we're calling Helping Bring Visibility to Disability. So we do that through a number of avenues. While my team is out and we're putting on special events and community engagement activities throughout all of the counties, you know, everyone knows the big annual barbecue fundraiser. Next month down in Port Charlotte is our first annual 5K where we're going to be breaking barriers. It's our ability run down at Florida South State College. So we have all those types of community engagement side where we're working to bring our organization and all of the triumphs that our individuals conquer every single day to the community. The other side to that is all the community integration that we ensure that every single one of our individuals, even with safety precautions in place that have last year. But here's the best example. When our CEO gives a tour, his favorite part of the tour is he gets to the kitchen and there's a refrigerator and he opens it and he says, "This is not a refrigerator." And everyone just kind of there's this awkward pause because no one really gets it. And then the point is, it's not stocked with groceries. We didn't just make it easy. What our individuals do in our day program is we're going to talk about budgeting and money management and meal planning and prep. And then we're going to talk about what does this group want to make that week. Then we're going to coupons in the public circular. Then we're going to make the menu and recipe and who's buying what. And then they're going to go to their area Publix, around where are things in the counter versus the frozen food section. How do you pick ripe or spoiled fruits and vegetables? And then they're going to come back and cook it. Now, all of that might take a whole week. And we're actually breaking down all of those key and essential life skills down to those fundamental building blocks and reinforcing it over that repetitive learning. What did we do? We didn't make it for them. We didn't tell them what they were going to eat. They made choices. They learned how to make a choice or stand up amongst their peers and say, "I'm a fan of this. Can we try this?" While also going into Publix and finding the food themselves, asking for help. And then at checkout, again, one of the biggest things is advocacy. So what happens if you go and you pay for a 20, but you get change for a 10? What happens? So the only way that you're going to be able to teach a lot of these skills is through that practical application. And I think that is something that Loveland does really well across all of its programs, and it makes being able to talk about it really easy.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up because way back in the day, I'm not going to date myself too bad, but back in like 1984 in Ohio, we had the closing down of a lot of the facilities, the big facilities that housed the past clients, and there was a conglomeration of different health issues that were put into more of an institutional based living versus what we're talking about with what you did. Back when I was in healthcare and working with I don't even want to call them handicap because it's not. It's we integrated them into society back then, and it was as simple as learning how to take a shower. It was as simple as learning how to go to the mall as a group or as individuals or going out in public. And I liked what you just said about dealing with public and getting things out into the public. So it's the norm, not the new. And I'm glad I was a part of the transition from institutional to, apartment style living for a lot of them. It was a first, and there has to be some value given to people who are going through situations like this. Not only that, but the family members. And that is, I think, the bonus for me as a realtor down here, having knowledge of the past and the healthcare side of it, but being able to talk to them and bring them to the facility. To me, it separates everything about our community, because our community is engaged, we're engaged with, or you guys are engaged with the community back. And that relationship is pretty solid, as we can see by the growth that you're having. Do you want to talk a little bit about the differences between old and new and the perceptions?
So it's so perfect that we're also having this conversation this month, because March is National Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. And while we've seen incredible strides, both locally and nationally, with regards to individuals with disabilities, there's a very long road ahead. It's everything from we passed the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act. It was just actually this past weekend was the anniversary where individuals with disabilities descended on the steps of Congress and left all of their mobility devices at the foot of the steps and crawled up the concrete to try to get some legislation passed. And again, the visual behind some of that imagery is a movement. I don't even think we've come out on the other side of it. I think we're still in its infancy. And even locally, while individuals throughout our community support our organization and our individuals, I think that there's a long road ahead. So as you go past to present, the state of Florida is 49th in funding for individuals with disabilities. 49th. So at the end of the day, what that means is the state of Florida has actually created a wait list of more than 23,000 individuals trying to access Medicaid services. And that's not to come to Loveland. That's to be able to receive funding to attend any program. So what happens as a parent or a family member, and this is also the first generation that's outliving their caregivers. So as you're looking at it from that perspective, not to mention caring for an individual with a disability is a lifelong commitment. How much of that is not actually covered over general insurance and all that other stuff, especially if they need things like wraparound services and therapeutic cares and increased doctor's appointments and medications, all that piles up. And actually the average salary of a full-time caregiver is probably only around $15,000. So what then happens? Now that person and that family has to now make a choice between caring for their loved one or being able to work and provide for their family. So again, where we are history to today, I think in Florida, we have a very long road ahead of us, because 23,000 people on a wait list, that actually doesn't even fully encompass the full magnitude of individuals in need of services, because how many of those people look at a number like that and then choose to not even sign up for the wait list and then call us and other providers and wanting services, so we've actually found a way to help, and we've created a scholarship support system for those individuals, but it's still not enough. I'd say that we probably need upwards of probably close to $100,000 more is in that scholarship fund to be able to. What happens is it's normally cart before the horse. You're fundraising for it, but then you get an influx of people and you don't even have enough of the scholarship funds readily available for those individuals. So this past year, we actually had an incredible grant support that helped us open up our Manatee location. And right when the pandemic hit, again, schools closed down. So we had a mom who was a nurse. She took, her son was in high school. She took 6 weeks of unpaid leave to care for her son, and then had to make the difficult decision. Do I go back to work and leave him alone for 8+ hours in the day, or do I lose my job? And then what? The domino effect that follows. She just happened to see a Facebook post of ours, called us, and we said we actually have scholarship funds available. And this was on a Thursday. And then he was scholarshiped on a Monday. And what that mom said was that Loveland was able to provide for her family at a time where she thought she would fail her son. So the need is, we can't even actually fully wrap our arms around it. But I think the community does a great and is incredibly philanthropic in their support of it. But from the state side, we have a very long way to go.
Well, and I'm glad you talked about that, because that's a really tough road to haul for a lot of people who, we're putting like 2,000 people a day into Florida, and services are a big deal. And when they're coming from up north, I hate to say, when you're 49th, you're not really known for providing services. You're not scrambling for services, and I try to help people in that regard, because it's difficult when you're new to the territory and you're trying to find a location to live, let alone take care of a loved one so you can survive, or that the person can feel like they're part of the community. And I think that's the biggest part that we face, not just getting the information out, but just the transition that people have today in the move to think that they have services when they actually get down here and they find that they're extremely limited. I'm glad you talked about that, because I think it's not talked about nearly enough. And in order to drive this, we have to get this information out tenfold. Is there a plan to do that with what you guys are doing?
Yeah, so I'd say our CEO has actually gone up to Tallahassee and has spoken at that level. But again, it takes a community. So if there are other individuals who are listening today, or know someone who knows someone who knows someone who can help open up some of those doors, I very easily climb the mountaintop for every single one of our individuals. I look at that as my sole purpose, because at the end of the day, we have to be their advocate, and we have to shine a spotlight not only on who they are, but more importantly, on what they can do. And as a service provider, we have to be the ones who are not only helping remove the barriers for them to be able to access those services, but showing the community that they can. It's just that simple, that they can. They might need a little extra support to get there, or to complete the task. But at the end of the day, we all play a very vital role. And every single one of the more than 500 children and adults that we serve are all active members of our community. So they are our friends, they are our neighbors, our sisters, brothers, aunts, uncles, cousins. They are someone. And that's just something that our community has to understand and take up the call with us. And again, it takes one person. It takes one person, and you tell it to the next person, and you tell it to the next person. That's all we can do. And then we rally together.
I had a really interesting conversation on Friday with Peter Barlotta. And, a couple of the things that we talked about on the show, it's situations like this and other things that are happening within our community that we don't have this local. We're trying to be at WKDW the local resource for media, for outlet, for even Facebook communication to get this information out. And it's one of the hardest things to do, is to build a coalition of people to target in or hone in on a need, and this specific need, you talk about 500, and that number is really, really low if you would start counting how many people you could help if you had the ability to help 5,000. Because I think if you had the ability to help 5,000, you would fill that void, because you would have different ways of catering to the public for programs and assisting. So when we're talking about 500, that number is large, but it's not as large as it could be if there were more assets given to help this situation. Is that correct?
Oh, wholeheartedly. And that 500, that's actually only the people that are going to be a direct recipient of that services. That's not even going to fully encapsulate the full magnitude of the amount of people impacted by it. Because if you have one participant, well, what about their family and their caregivers and the rest of their support network? They're all impacted by that service. You either add that service or take that service away, and really for every one person, it could really be impacting 5 people or 10 people. You know, the possibilities really are endless. But again, we're in a position, and I'm really proud of our leadership team and the support of our board and what the staff is able to pull off every day, that yes, if the resources were there, wholeheartedly, and I'm sure that, you know, I'm probably going to get some slack for saying that we'd open up like 50 more locations, but I'm all for it. And I know that our leadership team is as well. We're a service provider, and that's our job.
It's a good rundown of what you guys do and how you could carry on it if you had more assets. Kind of talk about now the how it affects in the family setting, the scenarios that you guys deal with every day. You know, we talk about 400 or 500 people who you touch in that setting, but that's not the extent. That isn't the true value of what you're bringing, because there are so many different family aspects involved in taking care of a loved one in this situation. Can you talk a little bit about how you work with the families and how what you think about the comparison between the helping of the family and the helping of the person you're trying to assist in-house?
Yeah, so it's actually perfect because I see you've pulled up the website here, and I need to finish updating our website because I'm about to talk to you about a program that's not even on there. So let's scroll up so you can look somewhere else. We have a new service that it's our Respite Services, and it started just about a year ago. And through it, it's not even on there yet, so don't yell at me. It's under that Hero tab, actually. If you click over to where it says Programs, over to the left. One more. There you go. See where it says Hero? Right on down there. But I need to add to that tab. So what Hero is helping everyone realize opportunity, and it's a respite service. Now, when it was started just as our after-school program and started in our Northport location. The need for this service is so great, it has already taken on a life of its own. Hero now is an umbrella service that includes not only this after-school program, but also a summer camp for children with disabilities that is in partnership that we do with the Boys and Girls Club of Sarasota and DeSoto counties, as well as our recreation program. And I'm really excited that next month will be a ribbon cutting for our newest respite service, which will actually be an overnight adult respite program. And that's going to be called SOAR, which is Supervised Overnight Adult Respite. So what we see with respite services is the caregiver will always choose, and I'm a mom, we always choose the needs of our child over the needs of ourselves. And what are we sacrificing? We're sacrificing our own personal well-being, our mental health, our physical health, our emotional health, as well as our financial health and the overall well-being of our family. Look at a family that may have several siblings. How do the rest of those siblings feel when their brother or sister in their eyes, is taking all of the family unit's attention. So that overnight respite program is supported in part by, we just had an endowment by the Cashman family that was set up, and we're really excited. So next month, on Friday, April 16th, we'll be having a ribbon cutting. The Venice Area Chamber of Commerce will be here helping us cut that ribbon because it'll actually be in our Venice location. So what we see with that is, and in speaking with the family when they started it, it was very simple. They said, had a service like this been available, we would have been a happier family, or, a healthier family. So we, as family, tend to neglect our own needs over the needs of our loved ones. So to answer your question in that long-winded way, that respite service, it grew very quickly. And once that program gets off and running, it's going to be just filled to capacity and booked months on end. We're confident in that.
And you keep stepping up and you keep creating as you go along. And I got to believe that there's no end to the creation of another program. Mm-hmm. So am I correct there?
Oh, definitely. There's always lots of brainstorming and mind mapping that's happening pretty much on the daily.
Me out of the second shot there, the iPhone shot, and put me in the other one because we got a little back feed. We have a little technical difficulty, and I'm working on it as we're doing the show. So hang in there with us, folks. You're listening to WKDW Radio 97.5 and KDWRadio.com. I'm going to leave the one and now. So goodbye there.
Connected to.
I'm coming back. Hold on.
TV3 and iPad.
You there now?
I'm here.
Awesome. Sorry about that. I had to switch things over a little bit. I was trying to get us on the radio too, but it's a little difficult to switch from an iPhone in today's technology and go straight over into actually talking on a computer. But I think we got her accomplished now. I appreciate your patience on this side of things, but it's great to have this conversation, and I know that my technology was a little short with you today, and so I want to have you back on next month, because to be fair to you, I think we should do some things together, maybe once a quarter, to initiate conversation. That way you could maybe set the date up, have people that are involved. I would love to have anybody that you would insist to be on the show, somebody who has participated, who wants a little airtime, who may be the first time on radio and Facebook. I think it would be a blast to have everybody, that wants an opportunity to tell what the Loveland Center means to them. I think it's huge. So I hope you'll come back and be on again. I know you're enjoying yourself anyway.
Always. You let me know, and I require a little prep time. And if our participants see me walking around with the camera, they know something's afoot, and they're always wanting to go on Facebook and get on the radio and TV and all that. So yes, let's make that happen, because again, it takes a community, and what better way to have that pipeline and that avenue than be with community radio. So thank you.
Doing this, my heart's behind what you guys do. I think it's a really great thing, and I look forward to working with you each quarter and engaging. And I'm going to promise you something else. We're going to do something like this, but I would love to come up there myself and even have a group sit around and just talk to them and show people what it's about. And because that group setting, I think speaks volumes too. And can you tell how do you get the engagement back out into the community, and what has the community given back? And I'm not talking financially. I'm just talking how strategically. How has that helped you guys?
So I would say that our community, yes, of course, is very philanthropic, but then not going down that avenue. Our community offers a chance and has the ability to offer even more opportunities. So we have countless individuals who are employed in the community. So, we have JC who works at Brewburgers and Sandy who works at Brewburgers. We have individuals at Publix. We have individuals at Cracker Barrel, like restaurants galore. And, even in spite of all of the challenges economically that our community has faced, again, ensuring the opportunities are there for our individual. But also businesses and other nonprofits have come up with ways for our individuals to, and again, this is now like kind of pre-COVID, but volunteer and being able to be a part of their community and give back and really show what they are capable of. So I think the community has done so much, whether it is help us with a physical event, which helps support our mission, or provides an opportunity for our individuals to be employed, or at its most fundamental level, engages with any of our participants because they are people. That's it.
To leap forward. We've taken a lot of baby steps between 1984 and now, from what I can see, as far as the intro to public was something that I did in '84, and it was accepted and not accepted. It would depend on how they looked at you and how they looked at the individuals, because back in the day, you would wear a snap shirt that was white, and that was institutional. And so you would go to church and go to different places. And I remember specifically dealing with the public where I just said, let's go. I don't care. That for a caregiver, that's the perfect attitude. We're going to make they're not going to mess with you because I'm here. And I think that's what we need to engage more in. But to see the difference in what it does to the individual, I still get goosebumps talking about what I did back in '84 and '85. But it's the fact that you can be life-changing as a volunteer working with people who just need a little bit of help, and they make an impact. They make an impact for us at Publix. They Brewburger, like you said. I mean, the difference is now compared to then is they're not just a part of our community, but they feel like they're part of our community. Do you want to kind of expand on that a little bit?
So it was 3 years ago that we actually updated our tagline. And it was, again, with the arrival of Patrick, our CEO. Our tagline, now our mission's always been the same. It's always been to help individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities to live their lives to the fullest. But our tagline, which is, the short little slogan underneath your logo, for years had said, taking developmental disabilities to heart. And when Patrick arrived, he started asking everyone, staff, participants, board, what does that mean? And everyone kind of came back with responses that were all, well, we're here to care for them. We're here for them. And they were all very nurturing responses. And we said, okay, but that's great, but that's really not our purpose. And our purpose is actually to elevate, to take it to that next level, to ensure that the supports are in place, that they're able to achieve their dreams. So we actually started flipping that conversation on its head with this Dare to Dream model. And with our programs, we don't take a round peg and fit it into a square hole. We just carve that square hole into a round hole to get that peg to fit in. So because of that, so our new tagline 3 years ago that we came up with is equality through opportunity. So that's it. It fits in line with the vision. It fits in line with the mission. And what it does is it ensures that regardless of what we believe any of the people that we support to be capable of, that we ensure that they have the supports in place. You see it right there. Be the change you want to see in the world. But that equality through opportunity is going to ensure that the barriers are removed, that the obstacles are cleared, that we do everything we can as a community and as a nonprofit and as an organization and as people to ensure that they are treated no differently than you or I.
And I liked how you came in and changed that, because the one thing I heard when you said the original tagline was limitation. And you know, anytime that you limit anything that you're doing, you're just not going to capture the fullest extent of what you're capable of. And I don't care if we're talking a person who has no disabilities whatsoever or a person who does. We should never set a limitation. And I love the fact that he came in and I don't want to use the word corrected. Change philosophy is one of the most difficult things to do. People don't like change, but when you can get excited about the change that is there, because now you just opened up the floodgates to success. I think that's what he did. And that's why I think that you guys are thriving, is because the mindset is completely different, because now you're all engaged in one purpose, and that's to elevate everybody. And as long as we're all thinking that way, I think we can make this movement grow.
Definitely. And while it is successful, we have a very long way to go. You know, while we're able to operate our services every single day, by the fact that Florida's 49th in funding, we're still up a very large hill to climb. And that leaves dozens, if not hundreds of individuals in need of services. And we have to find a way to scholarship them to get them access to those services, which is then where my department in philanthropy plays that pivotal role in being able to, we're not a shake the piggy bank kind of fundraising department. We exist to strengthen, create, and expand the services that are here. So when we need to go open a new location, or a vehicle breaks down, or anything, philanthropy is able to help the organization fulfill its mission and move it forward, thanks to the support of a very large donor base. So we're grateful to the community who is, I mean, there's something about this community down here that's just so philanthropic. And, you know, it's humbling, but there's still so much opportunity. You know, we just sent out an appeal to, you know, a lot of our base, because March is Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. So we're trying to raise funds for our scholarship fund to be there for when that mom calls desperate, when that grandmother who is now primary legal guardian for her grandchild is there, and we're able to answer and expedite in that moment. You know, last year we were able to serve a little more than 85 individuals with a scholarship. The year before that was 55. So I think that we have an opportunity and a need to be able to grow that number, because they deserve the life skills. They deserve the access to the programs. And what's the purpose behind nonprofits? The purpose behind nonprofits is to fill a gap, to fill a need where government and you know, nationally and our community can't fulfill it. That's where nonprofits kind of tend to bubble to the surface, to fill that need. That's it.
And you know what? It's all these things are so important, because anytime that you can take an individual and make them part of the community and make them a successful part of the community, it not just changes the mindset of that individual, but it also affects the family that has that person in their family. It also affects the community around them. The community becomes more engaged, more, I think, in tune with what's happening. And where we used to hide everything, I mean, literally, it's really more upsetting to me that we used to hide people into institutions versus actually engaging them, because I know people's hearts are in the right spot. They really are. They just need to hear it. But even the individuals that the scholarships are going to, their hearts are in the right spot. You want to meet really caring, cool people, show up at the Loveland Center and participate. I promise you, it's a life-changing event for the person that you can engage with. But the biggest thing, it's a life-changing event for the person who shows up, who has no experience and walks in the door and just wants to give some time or some money, and see the end result of what you guys do. It's a changing event on both sides, and I want to promote it. I want to help you. I can't tell you how much I care about what you guys are doing. Every time up there, it's been fantastic. We're going to run over a little bit today. We're going to go to about 3:58. We've got about 7 minutes left. I'm going to kind of throw it back at you and let you talk a little bit more about the programs that you do. And I'll throw in a couple questions as you keep going, but we've got about 7 minutes left.
Okay, so yes, again, thank you so much for not only your support of what we do, but for the platform that allows us to be able to tell the community at large what it is that we do and why it's important. Supporting programs like any of the ones that we have and creating a platform, as I'm looking out my window to where our participants are, creating a platform for them affects the entire community. We are all one. So as you look into all the types of programs, and our largest one, which is the one that every time you've come to go see, that's what you're seeing. That's our adult day training program. And that's a life skills development program. And again, everything's based on curriculum, and individuals may be working on money management in the morning and then going into a creative expression through some art exercises and then go into some physical wellness. And again, everything is in line based on what every individual's personalized goals are. And those are set up with their personal supports and then implemented by our team. So that's our adult day training program. And what is kind of genius about all of our programs and the fact that we're able to take it to 4 different locations is they're all replicable. So when I told you earlier that our hero Respite Services was growing very quickly, it's because that same after school program can be the same after school program in any location. The recreation program that we have in Venice is actually growing legs and growing very quickly up in Bradenton. Just like that summer camp program that we're launching with the Boys and Girls Club here in Venice can be launched as a summer camp in collaboration with any other summer camp provider in any of our communities. So what's really great is that all of those services are really able to be replicated in every single one of the locations based on whatever the need may be. So our adult day training program, we also have our supported employment program, which helps our individuals not only secure jobs in the community, but also learning about all that discovery and pre-job skills, the interview skills, what to say, what not to say, how to present yourself, what is work etiquette, all that career development. And then once they have the job, it's also with those job coaches working with the businesses to ensure that both the company and the individual are both successful in a harmonious way. Then there's also personal supports and in-home supports and companion services, and that's helping individuals in and around their home and their community. There's the Respite Services, which is growing quickly, and then Respite, that hero program, is an umbrella service that includes our summer camp, it includes our recreation programs, it includes an after-school program for children, as well as that overnight respite program. All of our programs also offer transportation services to and from the day programs. So if someone is coming to that ADT, that adult day training here in Venice, and they live, just in North Venice, they have the opportunity to get our transportation services. We have a whole fleet of vehicles. I think we're up to 17 or so vehicles. But as an organization, I'll tell you right now, Bradenton already has a wait list of more than 10 individuals and is in need of 2 additional vehicles up in Bradenton alone. Not to mention that every few years you have to kind of recycle out some of those older vehicles to ensure the road safety and viability of those vehicles. So that's another program that isn't even on the website, but has just honestly ballooned. And especially during COVID, we saw a 250% increase in demand for services because we were guaranteeing that the vehicles were being cleaned after each transportation run. We were doing temperature checks to really ensure the safety, as opposed to those more generic county-based providers who just said, no, we just kind of drop them off and run them through. We don't do any of that stuff. So, we've had a number of grantors and donors come in with vehicles in the past year, but I already know I need to probably find about 4 or 5 more vehicles. So, if anyone that's listening is actually a dealership and would like to have that conversation, that would be great as well. But again, John, you'd mentioned earlier, it's time, talent, or treasure. Any of those buckets is a way to not only help the individuals we serve, but it allows us to further our mission over and above what we can do every single day.
That's awesome. I've truly enjoyed having you on. I want to thank you for your time. I know technically we kind of got a late start, but I promise my computer will be updated the next time. That forced update was just torture to me because we started out on my phone and went into dealing with the computer situation. But the next time on, I really want you to talk about the scholarship program and maybe have somebody on who's on the scholarship program. Bring a couple people. I want to talk about that and what it takes, even from start to finish, because the scholarship program by itself, yes, can be paid in full for someone, but it could also be a partial scholarship to help them get in the door. So we'll talk about that the next time. How's that?
That's perfect. And for anyone that doesn't want to wait until that next time, the easiest way to get involved, again, March is Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. We are doing an appeal right now for scholarships. And actually, the Flanzer Philanthropic Trust is a matching grantor. So if you actually just go to, I wish I had the exact website right off the top of my tongue, but if you actually just Google the Flanzer Philanthropic Trust, it takes you right to their website. You select Loveland as your designated beneficiary, and they actually are matching all gifts dollar for dollar up to $500. So we have the opportunity to really maximize, and all of that right now is going to go towards our scholarship fund. So the opportunity is great. We also have a monthly recurring gift program where you can do it right on our website at lovelandcenter.org. There's a giant orange button that says donate now. You click on that, and at the bottom of that page is a checkbox that says make this a recurring monthly gift, and now you don't have to worry about it. So it could be $10 a month, it could be $25, $50, $500, it could be whatever number you want, and it just happens automatically. And that is another way to really double that impact, because then we don't have to kind of keep going back to it. That big orange button right there that says make a donation today. You just click on that, fill out that little form with the gift amount, and maybe it'll open.
There you go.
There you go. Scroll down just a little bit, and you'll see that red box that says make this a monthly recurring donation. And then you're going to become a Friends of Loveland, and through that monthly recurring gift, have an opportunity to impact any number of the countless individuals that we serve, both children and adults, every single day.
Awesome. I look forward to having you back on. I promise you we're going to do this more. And I look forward to helping you build some momentum within the social media realm, because I think it's a big deal what you guys do. I can't tell you. So thank you so much for spending your Monday with me on short notice. I do appreciate it, Jennifer. You were fantastic. Thank you so much. To the listening audience, please go to their site, donate, make it monthly and make it happen for them. The scholarships are extremely important to keep the program viable for not just the people who are there now, but anyone in the future. So great job. We'll see you in a couple months, I promise.